Today's card from a viewer, I'll put her details at the bottom, and on my sort of candy box selection of cards video that I did, she saw this card and said, could I do something similar to this one and show how it was done, but perhaps on a fall or Halloween sort of theme. I have to say, Halloween's not so huge over here in the UK, so I haven't actually ever done a Halloween card before, so I thought that would be quite a nice challenge to take up, so that's what we've done. So this was the original card. The one I'm going to do is a similar idea, but I think we're going to do it a little bigger than this. Alright? Okay, so what we're going to do is I've picked out some card which I think is quite Halloween-y. So I've got 2 pieces of orange and then I've got 2 pieces of black. But this one's quite nice because it's got a bit of a spark. So I'm not exactly sure which of those I'm going to use and how I'm going to put them together at this point in time, but we'll work on that together. And then we're going to go over to the Cricut and we're going to cut out on a white piece of card all of our images. Now I've selected a whole bunch of images, all different sizes, all from the Paper Dolls dress up cartridge. This is all cut out, as I say, on a piece of white cardstock, 12 by 12 on the Cricut. So that's where we're going next. Okay, so that's that all cut out, so we're going to unload the mat and then go back to the table. Continue with our card. Okay, so having cut out all those pieces on the Cricut, and what I didn't do on camera because I thought it would just take too long, was that I've actually coloured in all of these images. Now I've used a selection of pro markers, different inks, so I've inked things up just to give all different sort of feeling to the thing. Oh, I mean, on the cat's eyes here I've used a gel pens, so I've a whole selection of different things, so don't feel restricted to using one thing. I mean, even on this skeleton here, what I did was I actually inked him up. I know it sounds strange, but using white ink, even though it's a white paper, it was a slightly, even it said it was white, but it gave a slightly creamier look. And then I just added some shading in. I put a little bit of black in for his mouth and on his eyes using a gel pen. And while it was still a bit damp, I went over again with just a blender tool and just blended it in, which gave it kind of a really smudgy effect. So I think that all worked. And then on my little tombstone here, I just used a pen to go over the RIP. I coloured this all in using a pro marker, and then I went round the edge using an ink pad just to give it that slightly darker shaded look. And it's got a slight shimmer because I used like a silver on it. I don't know if you can catch that in the light. On my little pumpkin, again, I used pro markers to start with my base, and then I started using inks just to get a really nice shading. I'm hoping that you can see that on the camera there. So it's really sort of got a real, it actually really comes up nicely. And then my trick and treat little bag, and then I've got my spider, and I've got my little bat, and you can see they're quite little happy spiders and bats. And then there's my lightning flash. I've got my trick or treat. This is going to be potentially, these are going to be used for borders. These are my they're little sweeties borders. And again, on these, I don't know if you can see, but we've got some shading going on here. So it's much paler in the edge than it is on the end here. I'm not sure if that's coming out on the camera very well. On this one, it's got sort of just shading out from the black into the orange again, just to bring it up to something. And then we've got our 2 little cats here. So we've got this one here, which is rather cute, and again I've just I coloured him in grey, and I went round in the black using the shading tool, the blending tool, and then I just added in, obviously making sure I didn't hit the white eyes, but even then some of these gel pens are so opaque, I mean they really do cover up. So then I just went over the whites of the eyes and just give him a little bit of blue around the edges and some pink and a teeny dot of a red nose, so just to give a bit of character to that. And then on this cauldron that I've got here, we just, again, I just coloured this in, and then I used some silver and I dotted it with the silver just to give it a little bit of shimmer, which, oh, I think you can just catch in the light there. And then the green of all the sort of hubble bubble, toil and trouble, all of that kind of stuff. And then the orange there, just to give it a bit of something. And then I've got my little frog, which I think would look quite cute actually in the image. Somehow we get him perhaps jumping out of the cauldron, I'm not quite sure. So I've done all these different images. I mean, I've got my little ghost. Again, with the ghost, I thought, well, we'll just give him a bit of fun, and we went around the edges using kind of a bluey, I think this was actually the Big and Juicy pad, and I'm not sure which one it is, but I just went around the edges of him. Just, I know ghosts are meant to be white, but you know, this isn't real life, this is, you know, crafting. And then on my little hat here, again, I coloured that in black, and then I went over it with a gold ink pad and just patted over the top just to give a little bit of shimmer. Again, I'm not sure if you can catch that in the light here. And then I put the stars on. I literally just did that by hand randomly, and a few little stripes here as well. So, and then the last thing I think on here that we haven't seen is my little lollipops here. Again, I don't know if we're going to use them, but what I did was I coloured them in solid colours, and then I went over the top just using the gel pens just to give them the little swirls. So we've got lots of different things here. We may or may not use them all because I really don't quite know how it's going to work out on the card, but I thought, well, we'll have lots of different images, and what I don't use, we'll make another card with. It won't be wasted. So the next thing really is to start putting the card together. Just to say, when I was colouring this in, I actually did not peel it off my mat. I left it as it was. I didn't even take the excess off or anything. I literally left it as the cut whole 12 by 12 sheet and coloured it in and went over the edges with the inking and everything, because then I had already my piece of paper, that my waste paper as it were, already there. What it did do, however, as you can see, is make quite a mess of my mat. The ink went through. I'm not too bothered about that. This was quite an old mat anyway. It needed dealing with. Okay, so now I've got all my bits and pieces ready. The next thing is to start putting the actual base card together.